you explain more about, oh, here we go, more about Messianic Judaism? I think some of your audience may lump all Hebrew roots in that category, but I've heard you say that this is not the case. What exactly is the difference between commandment-keeping Hebrew roots fellowships versus Messianic Judaism?
Okay. Messianic Judaism is really kind of an identity cult. It's people that are Jewish, that they want to maintain their identity as far as being Jewish. And so what they do is, instead of really doing what Yeshua said to do, they take on the trappings of Phariseeism, but just for show. Mm-hmm. You know, they'll have a big conference, and they'll wear their kippahs and they'll wear their prayer shawls. But then afterward, they'll take the kippah off and they'll eat a ham sandwich, you know, right after the conference is over. And I know these people. I know that's what they do, okay? And so the Orthodox really don't like them because they know that they're playing a game. They're trying to make people think that they're really part of Judaism, but Judaism is ancient Phariseeism. This is what Yeshua said, and it's all of their doctrine is based on fraud. And it's a fraud that's promulgated in the King James Version of the Bible. I'll tell you what it is. Matthew 23. Yeshua said to his disciples, this is, you know, just 2 days before his crucifixion, and the multitude, the scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. King James says, whatsoever they command you to do and observe, that do and observe, but don't do after their works, because they say and do not. Okay, that's what the English says from the Greek, from the Aramaic. But that's not what the Hebrew Matthew says, which you would think that Jews would go with the Hebrew Matthew. The Hebrew Matthew says, the scribes and Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. Therefore, whatsoever Moses says, do, but do not follow the takanot and the maasim of the Pharisees, because they say they follow Moses, but they don't do what Moses says to do. Takanot are the laws enacted by the Pharisees which change or negate biblical law. They've added thousands of commandments. They've taken away 100 commandments. They have made up their own religious system that is loosely based on the Bible, but basically it is based on rules and regulations that they themselves have invented. It's just like Catholicism. It is just like the Mormon Church. It's just like the Baptist, Presbyterian, Episcopalian. It is like people take a few verses that they like, and then they start adding things and making their own rules and regulations, and that's why you can pick from like 37,000 different denominations of the rules and regulations that you like, that you can live with, okay? And then you join that church and you think you're going to get, you know, just a free ride into heaven because you are following this organization's rules and regulations. Well, Yeshua exposed Phariseeism as a fraud. He deliberately and vehemently broke the laws, the man-made rules of Phariseeism, and he said, keep the Torah. Do what Moses says to do. That is the commandment. No one adds to it. No one subtracts from it. That was Yeshua's stand. Phariseeism is a fraud, just like every Christian denomination that adds or subtracts commandments. That's how you know you've got a fraud, ladies and gentlemen. And if people want to have, you know, their own brand of what they call Messianic Judaism, it's nonsense. Judaism is ancient Phariseeism. Yeshua said, don't do it. But they told Messianic Judaism, how can there be a Messianic version of what Yeshua said, don't do? It's an oxymoron. It is pure idiocy. But yet it makes these people feel still Jewish. And these people have actually gone to the Pope because they want the Pope to recognize them as a legitimate form of Judaism. I'll tell you, if I ever go to the Pope and ask him to recognize me, put a bullet in my head before I get to the Vatican. Put me out of my sick, twisted mind. I'm not going to ask the Pope to legitimize me. It's like asking him to legitimize Yeshua's real teaching. Ain't going to happen, people. So, follow the Torah the way Yeshua taught it, the way Yeshua lived it. He said, follow me. That means you put your feet in the footsteps of him. That's what it means to follow him. Do what he did. That's what follow me means. None of this nonsense of making up your own rules and regulations. That's why I said most who come to me on the day of judgment will be told, take a hike I never